Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hancock with Beyond You Coaching. We all know it's easy to be our best and brightest selves when life is easy, when our body works the way we want, when events go as planned, or when all of our expectations are being met. It's easy to be that kind, caring, compassionate person when everything goes our way. But we all know that life doesn't always work like this. Sometimes we are met with circumstances that are out of our control, and suddenly things take a turn for the worse. We've all been there. But when things go wrong, and we think that life should be giving us something else, this is where the problem starts. This is where suffering begins. And this is called resistance. Resistance is when we deny what is happening because we wish it would be something else. Resistance can happen anytime, anywhere, and it can happen when we are diagnosed with a sudden illness, lose our job, get a divorce, experience financial loss, or are just unhappy with our children, spouse, work, or lifestyle. Resistance is resisting what is, and when we resist, there will always be suffering. The next time you resist anything in your life, try and pay attention to the nature of your thoughts. You'll notice that when you resist something, you oscillate between your desire, which doesn't exist, and your present moment reality. This back and forth seesawing of the mind burns a lot of energy and leaves us feeling weak, exhausted, and even more frustrated. We can easily see that desiring something that doesn't exist causes us to suffer. We are still very much stuck in our life predicament. So if our resistance to the present moment causes our suffering, what is the solution? Are we just supposed to feign happiness? Or are we all doomed whenever anything unexpected happens to us? Well, I have good news for you. The good news is that there is indeed a solution, but it's not an easy one to implement. The only solution to resistance is through acceptance. Acceptance can be defined as seeing reality for what it is and not denying it. Let's say, for example, that you are suffering the pain of a recent job loss. The initial knee-jerk reaction might be to go on wishing that you still had your job, wish you could still pay your bills on time, and wish you had a sense of safety and security. We can all agree that these life circumstances can really test us. But wishing for something that no longer exists will only cause you to feel depressed, anxious, and deeply unhappy. It doesn't change the circumstances at all. You still have lost your job. So what can be done? Well, if you are a conscious individual aware of your energy state, then you would consciously choose to handle your situation with full awareness. In this instance, you would face the unknown circumstances with courage, and accept that you have lost your job. Once full acceptance of the situation has settled in, then you can refocus your energies on a plan of action that includes seeking new opportunities, new challenges, new experiences, and new personal growth. The key word here is new. Understand that resistance enters our lives when we do not want to experience anything new. And everyone knows that new is also change. So unexpected new change is a fear that most human beings have. However, we do not grow if we do not change. Change is what brings us to new levels of maturity, growth, and wisdom. Some of the wisest individuals we know have gone through a lot in their lives. This is what makes them wise. You cannot grow spiritually if you are afraid of life. And if you resist the present moment, you are essentially afraid. Now you may ask, what about circumstances where there can be no other option? What about terminal illness? Even in these extreme cases where terminal illness leaves one with little to no recourse, there is still the choice to accept it fully. If you were to accept your situation for what it is, without fear, without anger, without resentment, imagine the spiritual growth being offered to you in just this one life circumstance. There is no greater growth being offered than facing the reality of one's own death. Though we all will die one day, we still act as if we are immortal. Death isn't real to us. But imagine being told you had only 3 months left to live and you accepted this without fear. You would have completely transformed yourself. And this is the hidden gift. All experiences facilitate the expansion of consciousness. So acceptance of the present moment is one of the deepest spiritual practices one can do. I didn't say it was easy, but if you can make this a part of your life and live this every moment, you will transform yourself with this very simple practice. To help you bring this into your everyday life, I'd like to share a powerful Zen story with you. One day in late summer, an elderly farmer was working in his field with his old, sick horse. The farmer felt compassion for the horse and wanted to relieve the horse's burden, so he set him free to roam for the rest of his days. Upon hearing the news, local neighbors came to visit and offered their condolences. "What a shame! Now your only horse is gone. How unfortunate! Now you have no means to live." But the farmer simply replied, "Maybe." After 2 days of enjoying his freedom, the old horse returned feeling rejuvenated. Alongside him were 12 new horses that followed him into the corral. Upon hearing the latest news, the villagers once again came upon the elderly farmer and exclaimed, "Wow, how fortunate are you! Not one old horse, but 12 additional young stallions. This is so wonderful." Again, the farmer simply replied, "Maybe." The next day, the farmer's only son set off to attempt to train the new wild horses, but was thrown to the ground violently and broke his leg. Upon hearing the news, the local neighbors arrived one by one to lament the great misfortune that occurred to the farmer's only son. "Oh, what a tragedy! Your son won't be able to help you farm with the broken leg. You'll have to do all the work yourself. How will you survive? You must be very sad." But the farmer, in his usual way, simply said, "Maybe." Several days later, an unexpected war broke out. The emperor's men arrived in the village demanding that all the young men come with them to fight for the emperor's army. Since his son's leg was already broken, he was deemed unfit to fight. Upon hearing the news, the villagers came over and said, "Oh, what very good fortune you have. You don't have to suffer like we do, with our sons being taken away to fight. You must be so happy." But the old farmer simply replied, "Maybe." After some time, the villagers were sad to learn that all their sons had died in the war. This Zen story is a great reminder for all of us. If we can learn to adopt an attitude of acceptance to the present moment and stop suffering our thoughts, then we will learn to better navigate our lives with greater balance, clarity, and wisdom. So I'd love to hear from you. Do you think learning to accept the present moment, no matter what, can help alleviate your suffering? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and share it. And if you're new here and are interested in learning more about the mind, personal growth, and higher awareness, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.